March 28th, 12:41 p.m. Prison, maximum security.
Wow, it's pitch black in there. I can't see a thing.
But didn't you say that the Yatagarasu takes flight, even in the dead of night or something?
Even in the depths of night, when no other bird dares to take flight. One alone soars to shine the light of righteousness on the world's blight. And that one is me, for I am the great thief, Yatagarasu.
Whoa, you are one powerful performer.
Thanks, but that doesn't help me see in the dark. I'm a human, not a three-legged raven.
What? Ah, Mr. Edgeworth. That voice. I knew it. It has been far too long. You remember me? I could hardly forget now, could I? After all, you are the one who put me away.
Mr. Edgeworth? Are you talking to that dog?
Or is there someone else in there? Still can't see a dang thing. Oh, but I am forgetting myself. Forgive me. I do not often receive visitors. One moment. I will turn on the lights. You are a heavy-footed lot. Am I right in thinking there are 3 of you in all? Very well. Perhaps we should start by introducing ourselves. I am Bodhidharma Kanis. As you may have gathered, Mr. Edgeworth and I are old acquaintances. Kanis was a notorious assassin. Some knew him as the Blind Butcher. His only weapons were a vicious hunting hound and a fearsomely sharp knife. His appearance was always announced by the sound of bells, the last sound his victims would ever hear. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, am I to guess why you have come to see me? You know why I'm here. In fact, I'm willing to bet you know every detail of this sordid little affair already. Then I suppose we have nothing to hide from one another. Your faithful canine friend is currently the chief suspect in a murder investigation. The person who found the body saw a dog with its mouth around the victim's throat. Your witness is mistaken. Helmut is a gentle soul. He is my eyes, nothing more. It is absurd to think that he would do such a thing, isn't it, boy? Yes it is. You're a good boy, aren't you? Helmut is more than a mere seeing eye dog, and he's certainly no good boy. He's also a trained killer, a weapon once used in this man's sordid trade. This witness of yours, he is trustworthy, I assume? Sod is anything but trustworthy, and he's still very much a suspect himself. I can hardly claim that his testimony is beyond reproach. A no, then? I thought as much. Yes, I did, Helmut. Yes. It figures that he already knew who our witness is. What were you doing between 8 and 10 a.m. yesterday morning, Mr. Kanis? During the show, you mean? I was here, ensconced in these humble surroundings. I have developed a passion for wood carving, you see. An obsession, even. I was engrossed in it all morning. And you have permission to engage in such a hobby? I can't believe someone would actually let you. The warden and I have an understanding. An understanding? That's ridiculous! This man shouldn't be allowed 1, let alone 5 chisels. They're nothing but lethal weapons in his hands. I was carving Buddhist pieces at first, but by the 674th, my interest had begun to wane. Whoa! That must have taken forever! Time is all I have, child. In any case, my focus has now shifted to pieces, such as these. I didn't know you played chess. You play too, do you not, Prosecutor? Perhaps one day you might indulge me, though you may find my game rather rudimentary. I only began after my arrival here, I'm afraid. What's that piece? A dog? With 3 heads? Ah yes, the dogs of war. You must forgive my little joke. Chess is, after all, a game of war. Soldiers, knights, castles, all doing their utmost to protect the king. All loyal to the last. I have always thought it strange that such a game has no place for a dog. After all, what more loyal weapon could an army call upon? Still, it's simply a piece I made for fun. Fear not, I play by the regular rules, and with the regular pieces. I can't imagine it's easy finding opponents to play here in prison, though. Oh, I have my correspondence. Correspondence chess, then? Sharing moves by post? Yes. Even prisoners are allowed to send and receive letters. Their contents are inspected, of course. Although, I have yet to receive the details of my current opponent's next move. Sounds like this current opponent isn't a resident here. I suppose you know the identity of the deceased, Mr. Kanis? His name was Bronco Knight, was it not? Poor unfortunate soul. You keep your ear to the ground. My ears are all I have, Mr. Edgeworth. Why am I not surprised that he's plugged into the prison's information network? But perhaps he was not so unfortunate after all. What do you mean? Mr. Knight's crime was a grave one, a crime for which he would have been made to pay dearly anyway. The attempted assassination of a president. That is no small matter. Attempted assassination?
Wait! Mr. Edgeworth, didn't Mr. Knight...
Yes. We proved that he murdered his team leader and that there was no attempt on the president's life. Could it be? Are they attempting to cover up President Wang's fake assassination scheme? Whoa there, cowboy. You're saying the Bronxster didn't actually have a pop at the Prez? I was hired to defend him on the charge of attempted murder.
You mean you don't know what really happened? So what? They just blamed the whole assassination thing on Mr. Knight?
It would explain why the committee was so keen to get involved.
Of course! They took you off the case to try and keep you away.
And swapped in that Wiener kid to push through an attempted murder charge.
In other words, they're trying to cover up the truth.
So, they really were trying to frame him. According to the guards, this night, was it? They tell me he was violently insistent that he had attempted no assassination, which would have come out anyway when the case went to trial. I am no expert in legal matters, but allow me to say this one thing. I know for a certainty that he would not have been the first inmate in prison on false pretenses. An uncomfortable fact, but a fact nonetheless. Yes, Helmut. Yes, it is. Yes. The courtroom is not always the bastion of truth you believe it to be, Mr. Edgeworth. No bastion of truth, huh? I've heard something to that effect before. Yes, from a certain Interpol agent who doesn't have much faith in prosecutors. You're not twisting the truth behind those closed courtroom doors too, are you? Fueled by that kind of thinking. Is it any wonder that courts produce nothing but falsities and lies? Sorry, but the truth doesn't need the likes of you to distort it today. I never was able to fully dispel his mistrust of prosecutors. Even Helmut understands. Don't you, Helmut? Yes, you do. The truth's revealed in court in your deductions. It is dangerous to trust either implicity. But I am not bitter. You are not the first to make me a subject of unfounded suspicions in recent days. In fact, I was visited by another prosecutor only yesterday. He was accompanied by a judge. They even dragged the warden along, her distaste for me lingering unspoken in the air.
Not those two again!
Prosecutor Winner and Judge Gavelle. They went over my cell with a fine-tooth comb, but they left empty-handed. They were looking for the murder weapon, I believe, to no avail. But I mustn't take it personally. Rumor has it that they searched every cell in the prison, and still failed to find what they were looking for. I pray they weren't too disappointed. Well, that posed more questions than it answered. What do we do now? Saut's testimony is flimsy at best. I'll need more proper evidence if I want to take Kanis on. Well, I think that's quite enough chit-chat for one day. Helmut will show you out. Good boy, Helmut. Go on now. He's not showing us out permanently, right?
Let's get out of here! Come on!
Until next time, Mr. Kanis. It does pain me that our brief time must end, just as we were becoming reacquainted. I await your return, Mr. Edgeworth. March 28th, 1:12 p.m., prison, corridor. Now to gather the evidence I need to bolster my case.
Hey, Mr. Edgeworth!
That's the best hiding spot she could find. It's alright, Kay. You can come down now. Where's Fender?
He ran off somewhere. I had no idea he could move that fast.
Fender.
So, what do we do now?
You and I will continue the investigation, and I know just where to look. By solving that one particular mystery that's been dogging us this whole time. Knight's body was found in one of the prison workshops, but he was presumably being detained in one of the detention center's holding cells. So how did he wind up on the other side of those heavy security doors? Let's start by investigating the holding cells.
And Mr. Knight's room, right? But, what about Mr. Fender?
I'm sure he'll find us when he's ready.
Sure, but he is kind of our boss, isn't he? Oh well.
March 28th, 1:34 p.m., Detention Center, corridor. The victim's cell is just over there.
Lead the way, Mr. Edgeworth.
I have just about had it. Who's that? Warden Lagarde. She must have come from the corridor marked no entry. He's still not talking, ma'am? Even with the evidence you borrowed from the precinct?
No. And I've tried so many times, I've lost count. What am I supposed to do? I can't send in a blank report.
I guess a killer for hire was always going to be a tough nut to crack. A killer for hire?
Oh.
I couldn't help overhearing, Warden Lagarde, but were you just talking about Bodhidharma Kanis?
My. You were listening? How very gosh of you. A girl's privacy is her armor, you know.
You normally conduct interrogations of the man yourself.
Oh, it's not just him, darling. I try to have the occasional tete-a-tete with everyone, you see. That's what it means to be a member of the family in this little home of ours. There isn't a person who hasn't made the pilgrimage to my office at least once.
Your office?
How sweet. He's angling for an invite. Well, I suppose it is the hottest ticket in town. It's down this corridor here, darling. But FYI, I don't just let anybody wander in willy-nilly.
Let's see. That would put it right around here.
It's a wonderful room if I do say so myself. All my guests rave about it. And who wouldn't want to view my fabulous garden in the yard? Ooh la la. The yard? If it's anything like the rest of this place, it's probably full of adorable animals, right? Can I see? Oh, darling, it's so sweet of you to take an interest. But I'm afraid that's just not possible. Why not? Because you're not a member of our home. If you want to see it that badly, you'll just have to get convicted for doing something unspeakable.
That's a rather steep price to pay.
Oh, but just listen to me chuttering away like there's no tomorrow. It's time for Allie's lunchy brunch. The poor dear will be dying.
Allie?
The sweetest little dear in all the world. I know I shouldn't have favorites, but you know how it is. Now to the yard with me. Ciao for now, darlings.
I wanted to ask her more about Kanis, but she's dominated that conversation from start to finish. Let's go investigate the victim's cell, shall we? March 28th, 1:43 p.m. Detention Center. Holding cell. So this is Knight's cell.
When do you think he was brought in, Mr. Edgeworth?
It would have to have been the evening of the 25th, just after the events at the lake. And then at some point he wound up in the prison proper. But how? There must be some evidence here that will point us in the right direction.
All right, let's get looking, Mr. Edgeworth.
Investigation start. I must scour the scene and inspect anything that catches my attention. There's something different about this spot here.
This part of the floor is weirdly clean. Did somebody wipe it down or something?
Why would somebody only do the part right next to the bed, though? Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Hey, look! This newspaper's got a chunk of it missing.
You're right. A few of its pages have been roughly torn out.
But why?
Maybe
Mr. Knight wanted to clean his cell, but didn't have a cleaning cloth?
it's not a totally implausible theory, I suppose, but who would try to clean their cell? This must be Knight's suit jacket.
So I've been doing some research of my own.
Oh, and what have you discovered?
I discovered that guy who's looked good in suits tend to be popular with the ladies. But don't worry, guys with frilly neck ruffles aren't next on my research list.
Please stop. This bed doesn't look very comfortable, but that pillow cover is very clean. Spotless, in fact.
I bet this is the kind of bed Gummy sleeps in. I can just picture it, can't you?
No, I sense he's more of a mattress on the floor type. Reflected in the mirror is...
A security camera! A great thief's greatest enemy. Nothing about this place is very thief-friendly, if I'm being honest.
I think that might be entirely deliberate. Guard? I'd like you to retrieve the footage from this security camera and review it as carefully as you can. If you see anything out of the ordinary, inform me immediately. Yes, sir. I must scour the scene and inspect anything that catches my attention.
Hey, look at this weird piece of paper.
There's some sort of grid on it. Let's take a closer look. We already found that. The grid appears to be a chess diagram. The victims, I suppose?
What's a chess diagram?
A visual representation of a game of chess. See how the locations of all the pieces are marked? This seems to be a closely fought contest. Perhaps if this pawn were... No, wait.
Not now, Mr. Edgeworth. This is no time to be playing games.
Yes, I suppose you're right. This isn't the first time I've seen this configuration of pieces. It was from a different perspective, but it was definitely the same game. Perhaps it would be wise to take another look at the evidence in my possession. Indeed. Yeah, there is! I think I know exactly what it is. The dog chess piece. This chess game, I've seen it before.
Enough with the chess chat, Mr. Edgeworth. We're supposed to be investigating here. Focus!
I am investigating. This particular bit of chess chat could prove to be vital. Now, take a look at this. Can you tell me what it is?
It's the chess set we saw in Mr. Kanis' cell. But, I don't really know the rules of chess, so...
The rules of the game are not important here. What is important are the positions of the pieces. Compare the ones in Mr. Kanis' cell with these. Do you notice anything?
Ah! I don't know which piece is which or anything, but if you turn the diagram like this, there are pieces in the same squares.
Indeed. There's no dog on the diagram, but that's to be expected. Apart from that, however, the positions of the pieces are identical.
And what does that tell us?
Oh, I have my correspondence. As unlikely as it may seem, Mr. Kanis' chess opponent was...
Mr. Knight?
This could be just the proof we need to show that Mr. Kanis had a connection to the victim. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a lot of books. Let's take a look. You'll Laugh Tomorrow, an anthology. Understanding Animal Emotions. Life as a Pet Stylist. Maybe there was more to Mr. Knight than met the eye.
Sadly, I don't think these were his. They were likely specifically selected and placed here for the detainees, with the hope that they would want to better themselves during their time here. A Second Chance at Life. Interviews with a Former Prisoner. These books appear to have been written by current model prisoners and former inmates.
Oh, I like the look of this one. 200 Days to Freedom, an escape story. And this one too, Making Money While Serving Time.
This facility may have more deeply rooted problems than I thought.
Ooh, what's a menu doing here, Mr. Edgeworth?
It seems that those held in the detention center are able to choose what they like to eat each day. They can afford it, that is.
Money makes the world go round, I guess. But doesn't that make life super easy for rich detainees?
Well, Kay, bear in mind that the people held in these cells haven't been found guilty yet. Some of them don't deserve to be punished. Quite a few of them, in fact.
So you're saying it's fine that the people with money don't have a hard of a time as it is everybody else?
Ah! How did I wind up defending the practices of the detention system? The bowl is nice and spotless. And there are no signs that the toilet paper has been used. Everything seems to be in order with this toilet here.
What? Are you serious?
Why? What's wrong?
There's no door. There's not even a curtain. Whoever designed this place should have thought a little more about the people who have to live here.
I think there might be a reason behind this open plan layout. I've covered everything there is about this place. Oh yeah, I forgot to connect it. Let's find out. The white floor with a torn newspaper. This part of the floor has been wiped clean.
Maybe he spilled some grape juice?
Who knows? But we can certainly imagine what he used to do with the wiping. The torn out pages of that newspaper.
Why wouldn't he just ask a guard for a cloth or something, though?
Perhaps he didn't want anyone to see what he was wiping up. Investigation complete. I think we've about exhausted the cell. We made significant progress by establishing a connection between Mr. Kanis and the victim. This is bad, sir. Is that the guard? The security camera footage, sir. I watched it, and... What is it? Can you show it to us? Yes, sir. I have a small playback monitor with me. Then what are you waiting for? Let's see it. Was that?
That black thing! It's that dog, right?
Until now, our assumption was that the crime had taken place inside the prison proper. But it seems that assumption may have been wrong. Knight had actually been attacked in this location. The holding cells.
Take that!
Right here in the detention center. And the perpetrator was indeed Mr. Kanis' dog. This is just the evidence we needed. And if this is where Knight was actually murdered, then one of the pieces of evidence we found here in his cell takes on a whole new meaning. If Knight's cell was the crime scene, which piece of evidence takes on a new significance? The white floor. The floor of Knight's cell was wiped clean, presumably to remove something. Could that something have been his blood? Thank you, officer. Would you mind doing me one more favor? Name it, sir. There's a detective by the name of Gumshoe somewhere in this facility. I need you to give him a message. Tell him to have this cell tested for traces of blood and report the results to Edgeworth. You got it, sir. White floor has been updated.
Now we can really go after that Kanis guy. Right, Mr. Edgeworth?
No, not yet. We still don't know how Knight and the dog moved between his cell and the prison proper.
Right, so that's what we need to figure out next. What's the play, Coach? Where are we off to?
I suspect one of the guards might know something. We should ask those posted nearby and see what they have to tell us. March 28th, 2:15 p.m., Detention Center, Corridor.
Okay, time to get asking. Huh?
Thanks for the tour. Later. Well, well, Mr. Prosecutor and his little friend. I didn't expect to run into you here. Must be my lucky day. This is Agent Shilong Lang of Interpol. He was in charge of a case I worked on 2 weeks back. I thought he had gone home to St. Far for that, but here he is. You had some business to take care of, I take it, Agent Lang? You could say that. Nothing that need concern you, though.
First a black hound, now a wolf all in black. Hey, wait, why are you all alone today?
That's true. He's usually accompanied by an army of police officers. I hear you were at it again a couple days back, sticking your nose into things.
A couple of days back?
Ah, he means the incident with the president of Zhengfa. Actually, I thought you might be there as well, heading up the security detail. Ha! Our president doesn't have much faith in the efficiency of his own country's police force. Maybe now he'll think twice before using contractors again. Amateurs.
Agent Lang doesn't have much faith in prosecutors or the courts to do their jobs right, which is why he's so meticulous about investigating with his hand-picked cream of the crop officers.
Indeed, no doubt things would have turned out differently had you and your men been in charge. My men, huh? Yeah, those guys aren't around anymore.
What? They're not?
It's funny, isn't it? I'm a real lone wolf now.
What are you saying, Agent Lang? What on earth happened?
I told you, it doesn't concern you. See you around, Mr. Prosecutor.
Wow, he seemed not okay.
Yes, and I would very much like to know why, but there's nothing we can do about it right now. We'll worry about Agent Lang later. We have an investigation to conduct.
All right, let's start by talking to these guards.
Okay, let's talk to them. Oh man, I'm in so much trouble. What's the matter? You seem perturbed. Oh, well, you see, one of my uniforms is missing. I could have sworn it was right here in my locker.
Did he grow a pair of legs and run off somewhere?
Where in the world did that idea spring from?
Anyway, I hope you track it down soon. I'll be rooting for you.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Interesting.
I was wondering, have you seen an enormous black dog wandering around here recently? That thing? No way. If I had, well, let's just say I'd be a lot more nervous about standing guard here.
So, do you and this dog have some kind of history or something?
Now, Kay. You should know when to let sleeping dogs lie. By the sound of it, Canis' dog hasn't been spotted on this side of his heavy security doors. Hey! Are those my faithful assistants I see before me? Fender, and where exactly have you been? Where have I been? I've been looking for you two. Been searching high and low. Wandering lonely through the prison halls. It was terrible, I tell you.
But the prison's over there on the other side of the facility, boss.
So listen, I just got the lowdown on some seriously dynamite material. You want to hear it, right? Right? Seamless. I was chatting with a few of the guards, and they told me something très intéressant. Turns out the Bronxter had himself a little incident 2 days ago. Pre-mortem, if you catch my drift. An incident? Simeon told you he came to visit his pal, right? Well, it happened right after they wrapped up, when Bronco was being escorted back to his cell. It was just one guard and he was handcuffed. Obs. They made it back and the guard was taking off his cuffs when the Bronxter clobbered him, knocked the poor guy out cold. Sounds like it might have been the prelude to a jailbreak, because when the other guards showed up, they couldn't find their comrade's keys. Were there any rumblings about Knight attempting an escape? That's the bit that fries the old noggin. There were none. He just sat in his cell, then turned up dead. And what's more, he swore right to the end that he never stole the keys. They turned his cell inside out too, but no dice. The guard who was struck, what do you have to say? Nothing. Poor guy was still out when they took him to the hospital. Word is, he's still there. So there's nobody around to tell us what really happened.
What the? It's you losers!
That's all we need.
Why are you still hanging around here like a bad smell? Hey there, little buddy. Listen, Miles here is working with me now as an associate. Nonsense! You're all just here to cause trouble and turn my investigation into a fart.
Eustace means farce, of course. A simple slip of the tongue.
Seemed like a reasonably apt choice of words to me.
Judge Gavelle, great to see you again.
I know who you are. You are Simeon Saint's attorney.
Guilty as charged. Now that we've broken the ice, how about a friendly... Or not. I'm totally cool either way.
Now, did I hear you correctly? That Mr. Edgeworth has joined the defense team?
Yep, and me too. We're officially employees of Edgeworth & Co.
But a prosecutor is a public servant. You would draw your sword on the goddess to work for personal gain?
It's not a problem if I'm not getting paid, though, correct?
Exactly what he said. Miles here is just a volunteer. We're all about the pro bono stuff over at Edgeworth & Co.
How wonderful. So you all work without reward. The goddess would surely approve.
Yeah, I'm a regular philanthropist.
Judge Gavelle, I was hoping to ask about the grounds for Simeon Saint's arrest.
That information is on a need.
Is that a challenge I hear?
No, I was just asking Judge Gavelle!
I'm always ready for a little verbal combat to show you what it takes to be a real winner.
How is it verbal combat if you won't let me speak? Still, this could prove useful. Fine, we'll do as you suggest. Now, if you could begin by telling us why Mr. Saint was arrested.
There will be no need for that. Eustace, we should...
Not now, Gavelle. Watch and wonder. As I put this pathetic prosecutor in his place, he's gonna run rings around me.
I think you meant to say that you would be the one running rings around me.
And I will, so badly that your ears will be ringing. Prepare to be humbled, Edgeworth. Testimony. Reason for arrest. You want to know why I arrested that man? It's simple. Simple. I found evidence. Evidence of him all over that thing. How's that for some winningly incontrovertible, conclusive proof? And who saw the truth first? Why, me, of course. Winner by name, winner by nature. Where do I even begin? Look at you, utterly lost for words in the face of such mastery. I'll take your silence as yet another win.
Honestly? Does he ever shut up? You said that you were the one who arrested Mr. Saint, but do you even have the authority to do so, Mr. Winner?
Well, obviously, it was the police who actually arrested him. But I told him to do it, so I think I can claim the credit, don't you?
Of course that's what he meant. This is clearly going to take a while. A shame, really. Given that I'm much more interested in what Judge Gavelle is silently thinking over there. Let's put this brat in his place.
You want to know why I arrested that man? It's simple. Simple. I found evidence. Evidence of him all over that thing.
Evidence of him was all over that thing? Could you be a little more specific, Mr. Winner?
Do I really have to spell it out for you, Edgeworth? I hope even you could put two and two together.
Stop messing around. The onus is on you to provide a comprehensible testimony.
Come now, Eustace. I'm sure Mr. Edgeworth and his friends would be very interested to learn how you cracked the case. They certainly look keen to hear about it.
Fine. If you insist, I'll fill in the gaps. Brace yourselves because this is gonna blow your tiny little minds. I bet you didn't even know, but the victim had, wait for it, a chess set with him. And that chess set was covered in the fingerprints of a certain Mr. Simeon Saint.
Praise be to the goddess of justice for the insight she offers. And congratulations once again, Eustace. You would not object to Eustace amending his testimony, I trust, Mr. Edgeworth.
No, by all means, please do.
Mr. Saint's fingerprints were right there, all over the victim's chess set.
I pity the man who has to deal with this sod. So the fingerprints on the chess set are the ace up your sleeve?
The what up my what? Oh, yes, the chess set up the ace's sleeve. That's right, Edgeworth. I've got a winning hand, as usual.
Only your winning hand is a busted flush. For you see, it was Simeon Saint who brought that chess set to the victim in the first place. Therefore, it's only natural that his fingerprints are all over it.
Yeah!
That took a while to sink in. In conclusion, those fingerprints aren't proof of anything, and Mr. Saint's arrest was premature.
Premature?
The incident took place here within the walls of this facility, and being neither a guard nor a prisoner, it makes very little sense to suspect Mr. Saint.
Oh!
Sorry?
Now what? I think you might be the premature one here, Edgeworth. And to think you were the one accusing me of being hasty?
Did he only just work out what that word means?
Sure, I identified Mr. Saint as a suspect faster than pretty much anybody else. And I won the race when it came to picking out the crucial evidence, too. I'm quick on the draw, you see. But hasty? Not at all. You're right that Mr. Saint isn't a guard or a prisoner here, but he was.
Eustace.
Judge Gavelle.
Butt out, Gavelle! I have him right where I want him.
Forgive me, Eustace, but if I may, while the particulars of the suspect are indeed fascinating, don't we have something a little more impressive to share with the prosecutor?
Something more impressive?
If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Edgeworth, Eustace made an ingenious deduction concerning the murder weapon. Perhaps you would like to hear it?
Yes, of course, that. Well remembered, Gavelle. Listen to this, Edgeworth, and prepare to be amazed.
Will this ingenious deduction explain why Mr. Saint was arrested?
Let's just say you won't be disappointed.
Judge Gavelle deliberately diverted the conversation away from my line of questioning. What exactly is she up to?
Testimony. The whereabouts of the murder weapon. Fact 1. The murder weapon was some sort of metal blade. Fact 2. Potentially deadly blades are strictly controlled within the prison walls, as we both know. From these two facts, I conclude that the weapon in question must have come from outside. It must have been hidden inside the chess set. That's what I think anyway. And since the only prints we found in the chess set belong to the victim and the suspect, I'd say it's blindingly obvious who brought the weapon in and used it, wouldn't you?
If nothing else, his testimony this time is a little more comprehensible than the last.
Another winning deduction, brought to you by one winner, Eustace, Prosecutor Extraordinaire.
More like one winner, useless prosecutor extraordinaire if you ask me.
But how can anyone even hide a weapon inside their chess set?
Yeah, good question. Why don't you take a look for yourselves?
Inside the chessboard? I suppose there's only one way to find out. There's nothing in here but chess pieces.
Yeah.
That laugh is really something.
He seems pretty convinced the weapon was hidden in here somewhere. I better take a closer look. What? The stiff lining at the top opens like a flap door.
Whoa, there's plenty of room in there.
Indeed, more than enough to hide something like a small knife.
Ingenious, no? The killer snuck the weapon in by...
Ha!
Ha! What do you mean, ha? Let me finish, will ya?
I fear you've not been listening, Mr. Winner. Or perhaps you've simply forgotten. The detention center is outfitted with a security gate.
Huh? I mean, yeah, and?
The security gate also acts as a metal detector, Eustace. We must pass through another one on the way into the prison itself, remember?
Yes, that's right. Of course I remember.
He definitely didn't. It would have been impossible to smuggle a metal blade through such a gate into the facility, which would seem to blow a rather large hole in your reasoning, Mr. Winner.
That gate is only used to scan people. Any items they bring into the facility are only subjected to a cursory check.
Are you telling me that the chess set wasn't put through the metal detector?
It should have been. Alas, it seems the guards have grown a little lax in that regard of late.
Yep. It's got some new evidence.
Very good. Thank you, Gavelle.
It was my pleasure. Now, Mr. Edgeworth, if you would be so kind as to begin your cross-examination.
Cross-examination? It's like she's holding a trial. Well, no matter. Let's see how well this ingenious deduction of Mr. Winner's holds up, shall we? It won't last long.
Fact 1. The murder weapon was some sort of metal blade. Fact 2. Potentially deadly blades are strictly controlled within the prison walls, as we both know. From these two facts, I concluded the weapon in question must have come from outside. It must have been hidden inside the chess set. That's what I think anyway.
But no murder weapon was found at the crime scene, and there's nothing inside the chessboard either. I'm curious, Mr. Winner. You also have thoughts about where this weapon might be?
Well, the perpetrator must have hidden it somewhere in the prison.
Is there a problem with this claim? Yes. They hid it somewhere inside the prison. That seems unlikely. In fact, I can prove that's not the case. What evidence suggests that the murder weapon isn't hiding somewhere in the prison? That's simple. The prison search! I'm starting to worry about your memory, Mr. Winner. Didn't you and the good judge search the prison with Warden Lagarde? And didn't you fail to find a likely murder weapon?
Well, yes, but I guess we just missed it. That's all.
Wow, way to undermine yourself.
You're saying your search wasn't entirely thorough? You, the so-called winning rookie?
Stop making fun of me!
Eustace. Calm yourself. Breathe deeply. Do not allow your opponent to get under your skin.
You're right. I'm a winner. Why should I let a third-rate loser like Edgeworthless here get under my skin?
I'll thank you to leave my name out of this.
Well, I'm Kate Faraday, and I'm A-OK.
Not you too, please.
Look, it's simple. Since my first-rate investigation didn't turn up any weapon, it means there wasn't one to find, which leaves only one possibility. The murderer took the weapon with him when he left the prison. That's why we couldn't find it when we looked, obviously.
Objection! But what you are proposing is impossible. And this proves why the culprit couldn't possibly have taken the weapon out of the prison with him. The security gates.
Take that! More memory trouble, Mr. Winner?
Now you're forgetting things you yourself said.
Are you making fun of me? Again?
Oh, so you remember what I said? But perhaps you might have been better served by remembering this.
What's that?
Wait, does he seriously not remember?
It would certainly seem that way. There is a security gate at each of the entrances to the detention center and the prison proper. Coming from the prison, anyone leaving the facility would have had to have passed through both of them. 2 gates, both fitted with metal detectors.
Oh wait, now I remember.
Looks like he got his memory back.
So as you can see, there is no way anyone could have taken a weapon out through both gates. And therefore, there is no way the murder weapon could have left the building.
Yeah!
In which case, Mr. Edgeworth, perhaps you would care to tell us where you think the murder weapon might be.
It is still here on the premises. That's the only plausible conclusion to be drawn.
But we searched the prison from top to bottom and couldn't find anything.
Because you were never going to find anything to begin with. Not when you were laboring under the misconception that it's a blade you were looking for.
Yeah! We know the truth about what happened to Mr. Knight. We've seen it with our own eyes. That is quite a claim. I assume you have the evidence to support it. What is the weapon that was used to commit the crime?
Take a look at this, Judge Gavelle, and the weapon used in this case will become clear. You could either present the black dog or the security camera footage. It don't matter which. This is footage taken from a security camera trained on Knight's holding cell. Now watch it for yourselves and see.
What? That's... But how?
This footage captures the moment the victim was attacked by a black dog. More than sufficient proof of how he really died, wouldn't you say?
Yes, it certainly is significant.
So now we know that Knight was in fact killed in his cell by a vicious dog. A dog that moved the victim's body to the prison workshop post-mortem. We know this thanks to an eyewitness who saw the dog in the workshop when the body was discovered. Of course, I think we can all agree that there is no way the dog could have planned such a crime itself. Indeed, I fear it may be his handiwork after all.
Overruled. That's quite enough of that, Mr. Edgeworth.
Judge Gavelle.
You are correct that this footage is an important piece of evidence, but it also raises an important new question. A question that I suspect you have also been asking yourself.
She's right. There is one major problem with my version of the events.
The black dog, the one that belongs to one of the inmates. How did it move between the holding cells and the prison proper at will?
Oh!
How do we answer that one, Mr. Edgeworth?
The truth is, I don't know yet.
Heh, of course not.
Can it, Wonder Boy? You didn't even notice there was a problem. Until the defense provides an adequate explanation, the court cannot accept your line of logic. That is all. This court is adjourned.
But, wait! There's still so much more to explore!
Court is no longer in session, Mr. Edgeworth. If you would be so kind as to leave the courtroom.
Court was never in session in the first place!
Once again, this court is adjourned.
We may not have all the answers yet, but you haven't explained anything either regarding Mr. Saint.
What do you mean?
Just as we don't yet know how the dog made it into one of the detention center's holding cells, you can't know how Mr. Saint could have made it inside the detention center, let alone the prison either. He would have been allowed as far as the visitor's room to see his friend, but no further. So it's hard for me to conceive how he could have committed a crime in a place he had no access to. Judge Gavelle, I believe it's your turn to provide some proof. Proof that Simeon Sin was able to enter the prison.
You wish for the court to provide you with proof? Highly irregular, but very.
What? They actually have something?
Now seems like a good a time as any, and I suppose you have been kind enough to share your own theories on the case.
What's she building up to here?
Mr. Edgeworth, I suspect you don't know what Mr. Saint does for a living, so allow me to fill you in. He is a circus performer.
A what?
Yes, perhaps you've heard of the Very Big Circus. Oh, don't be silly, darling. Of course I was. Yesterday was a very important day, after all.
Important in what way exactly? A big meeting of some kind, perhaps?
A meeting? Oh, heavens, no. I couldn't think of anything worse. No, yesterday the circus came to visit. You see it now, I assume? As I am sure you are aware, a show was held yesterday for the prisoners' entertainment. A show featuring animals and performers, performed by members of the Very Big Circus. So, does that mean Mr. Saint? Yes. Mr. Saint was allowed inside the prison as part of that show. A fact that has been confirmed beyond reasonable doubt.
She held on to that fact until the last possible moment. She let me run with my own theory, and only afterwards did she use it to reveal the truth. Wait.
But out, Gavelle! I have him right where I want him!
Forgive me, Eustace, but if I may, while the particulars of the suspect are indeed fascinating, don't we have something a little more impressive to share with the prosecutor?
That must be why she steered him onto a different topic back then, too.
I got you good, didn't I, you third-rate prosecutor?
This has nothing to do with you.
Gentlemen, this court is well and truly adjourned. If I may offer a word of advice, Mr. Edgeworth. Your conduct as a prosecutor is already in question. You would do well to remember that you were removed from this case for that precise reason.
What are you trying to say?
That the committee reserves the right to confiscate your badge at any time. Should you wish to retain it, you would do well to avoid crossing paths with us again.
Is that a threat?
The goddess of justice is compassionate, Mr. Edgeworth, but she is not endlessly forgiving. Oh, and one last thing. You are no defense attorney. Abandon this foolish pretense.
Thank you for your concern, but I do not abandon anything. What I start, I finish.
Well, do try to remember that the two jobs are not one and the same, and that a defense attorney is expected to develop something of a bond with their client. Next time, finding out your client's real occupation might be a good place to start. Yeah! Now I really must be going. May the goddess of justice watch over you all. So Simeon lied to us.
Not just you two. Guy took me for a ride, too. What's his deal? Whoa. You're not having second thoughts about all this, are you, Mousy Boy? Sure, Judge Gavelle's a tough cookie, but that doesn't mean you can just give up the ghost. The defense never rests, as a wise man once said. And that goes for associates, too. Don't worry, Fender. I have no intention of resting. Nevertheless, our assumption that Mr. Saint couldn't have entered the prison has been proven false, which means we'll need to restart our investigation from square one, I'm afraid. Yeah, there's nothing more you can do, Edgeworth, honestly. But hey, that's it. I had to split into parts because the combined overall would have been an hour and 40 minutes. I would have to split this. Expect this to happen a lot when I do this, believe me. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to hit the like button. It means a lot. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click that bell. I will see you in the next one. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. Product provided by Capcom.